life is such a blur. Email details, more stuff. My business is consuming me. Am I really living? When do I get to do what energizes me and enjoy the rewards? Welcome to your second life. All is now doing what you love and loving what you do. It's radical creativity. Here's your host, the VIP coach, John Davidson.
All right, radical creativity, folks. I'm so excited to be doing the show with you today. All the entrepreneurs that are listening to the show throughout the world. This is the VIP coach, radical creativity. That's right. Yes, it is. And it's the only show on earth that I think talks directly to the street sense of entrepreneurs. You see, we've been doing this VIP coach program, folks, since 1998. And man, we just have no shortage of business. Throughout this recession, throughout these economic times, we're in one of those industries that completely thrives. The reason being is that entrepreneurs are looking to get an edge. They're looking to reinvent themselves. They're looking to rethink their plans, rethink their business, get more unique processes, come at it a different way, think outside what they normally do. That's right. They realize they need more hunger and more creativity to go to the next level. And so our coaching program is to provide them the confidence, the freedom, and the earning power to go to that kind of level. So welcome to today's show. Now, what will be some of the topics that you'll hear on radical creativity? Well, I like to ask you, what are the biggest questions that are facing your future or your situation right now? I'm going to bet these are some of your questions. Number one, what the heck am I going to do when I grow up? You've thought about this. You've wondered whether the thing that you're doing, the business that you're operating, the role that you have, you're wondering if this is the stage for you. Is this the thing you're going to be most proud of by the end of your life? You have a few amount of years, right? You have a certain amount of time that you're going to be on this planet, and you want to make sure as the end gets nearer and nearer and nearer, you want to make sure that you live out your life on purpose, that you make sure you get to the activities, the people, the places, get to all the subject matter that matters to you. And that's why you're asking, am I really doing what I want to do when I grow up? Is this all there is? And I think it's very normal that we ask ourselves that. Not that we're unsatisfied with everything we're doing. It's just human nature to ask ourselves, am I really occupying, inhabiting, getting to the elements that I desire most in my life? And the reason is that as you get older and older, from your 40s to your 50s, you're noticing a lot of changes. You're noticing changes in your values. You're noticing changes in your preferences, changes in your roles, changes in your motivation. And that's okay because you're always evolving, you see. Everything is in a state of flux. The nature of reality is it's dynamic. And so you're having to change with it. Whether you try to or not, you're evolving. Whether you think you're evolving or growing or not, you're always evolving because that's the nature of the reality that you live in. So that's question number one is, what am I going to do when I grow up? Another question that you might be having is, what am I going to do with this team? You know, I've got this team of people in my organization, or maybe I don't even have a team at all, but what am I going to do to get a team in place that cares about my business as much as I do? How do I build a business so that it's not just a job for neither me or them, that I own a business, not a job? And how do they own a great life and have a great set of times and moments and victories, have a really great quality of living, great memories that they create at my business? Right? That's probably a question because you're waiting on the horsepower. You're waiting till those great horses in the stable really hit the stratosphere. You're wondering where all the energy is, and you're saying, how do I tap it? How do I get it? How do I get this team? How do I get them all on the same page? How do I get them taking off my back all the monkeys that I no longer want, all the tasks that I shouldn't be doing, all the things that drain me? How do I get that support system around me, JD, so that I can have the kind of business that I thought I would have at the beginning? Right? That's your question. And that's a great question. There's a lot to that question. So on this show, we talk about different strategies and tactics and perspectives on how to put a support system together. A support system that frees you up and enables you to bring something to the world that no one else can. And the people in your support system are able to bring something to the world that no one else can too. And they do that by you bringing something to your world that you are the only one that can. So everyone, according to our philosophy, has a sacred project. I assume that when I look around the universe, I look at people, I assume that everyone has within them a sacred project, and they're pregnant with it. And some of them will actually create what matters and reach out of that sacred project and touch the world, and other people won't. It's just not even on their radar. They're just too busy being busy to do something that could make them a lot less busy, right? You probably have thought about something like that. How do I really get to the things that matter? That's question number 3. How do I get some reach on the things that really do matter in my life? What has to change in order for me to create defining moments? In order for me to really inhabit the life that's here? Well, let's say that's question number 4. Question number 4 is, JD, how do I really, really get present? How do I start living the life that's here? You know, I'm always about tomorrow. In my business, I'm an infectious planner. I've got this contagion in me to plan, to look forward to tomorrows, and that bestows all the great stuff. And tomorrow has it, and it's packed into tomorrow. And it's great to plan so that you create things, but it's also limited in that we count on so much to plan with that we forget to really nail it right here, right now, this time frame that we can control, this nowness that we can be into. And so we've gotten oriented around the future so much to where we become unhappy and, well, we begin to really get away from what it is that could happen right now. And this is a great potential zone for things to happen, is the now. So on this show, we talk about strategies, ideas, perspectives, and practices for you, the entrepreneur, to make the most of what the future really wants to connect with and bring itself into the present. Now, that may sound kind of strange to you. You say, well, that's really weird. How do I connect with the future and bring it into the present? In other words, you go into situations listening for what wants to emerge. That would imply that the universe has an unfolding quality to it. It has a mystery yet to be told to you. That your life up ahead has a bunch of uncertainty in it, and that's undeniable. And if you could wholeheartedly cooperate with that, you'd be amazed at what might come through. But what you struggle with is how to let go. So question number 4 is, how do I become more present to what I'm doing? How do I live the life that's here? How do I become more alive, JD? How do I let go? Yeah, that's right. It's an art. That is a key capacity to develop. And I'm going to add on another question, and it's not a question that you're likely to ask, but it's a question that I'm likely to ask as a coach. And that is, can you see purely what is going on? Can you develop the capacity and the awareness to see what is going on? And that would imply that you think things that aren't true. Let's face it, every moment, the decisions that you're making, the actions that you give rise to, the awareness that you have, the attention of this moment is biased. It's biased because of accumulation. You have had a lot of memories that you've accumulated. And so on this show, we talk about something called downloading. And that is when the leader relies entirely on the past, kind of his existing frameworks, his existing rules about how the world's supposed to work according to him, and he lays down those conclusive facts, what he thinks are facts and theories and dogma. He lays that down onto an existing situation, and this past reference becomes the actual source of the problem that he's trying to solve with the past. That the experience becomes the very limit, ironically, of the situation we're trying to use experience to get through. So at this time, in the modern times of the world, folks, entrepreneurs are forced by what's going on in the world, the fact that we're all interconnected, the fact that the world is getting way sped up. We don't have the personal RAM to handle the hard drive anymore of what gets stacked up in our life. And so we're besieged. We don't have the capacity to handle the levels of complexity of our world. We just can't assimilate it all. There's no way. We can't learn the new technology fast enough to get the use out of it. That's out of balance. Too many things are changing, and we can't plan at the speed of change the way that we used to. So this requires a new level of listening, where leaders come to terms with their own weaknesses, with their own ignorance. They get comfortable with their own ignorance, you see, and they suspend their certainty because they realize to really make it through, to be able to make all this work, to be able to get through and get their business to the next level, to be able to have their life complement their business and pull it all together, they have to listen from what wants to emerge. And that requires accurate perception. That requires the commitment and the boldness to be attentive to what's here. not to be distracted by the future, not to be thinking about how the world is affecting them, not to be thinking about other people they can blame or what's wrong with them or what they should do or how to manipulate them or control them or make them this way so they can be this way and so forth. It's not about pushing there either. And it's not about the past. The past is history, and it's not about being distracted so much by a future that's going to be highly different in the next moment. We can't even predict it fast enough. Context is in motion. So, we don't have so much time to reflect on action. Today, we reflect in action. Beforehand, we had the time to reflect on action. We didn't have so many advertisers bombarding us all the time. We didn't have so many media sources constantly jockeying for our attention. So what do we have to do? We have to constantly let die, get rid of, terminate, part ways with, not look at, not buy, not believe what it is that we believe. That means we have to allow ourselves to die and enter with a fresh mind at every moment. And you know, folks, that's what leadership really means. I've said it on this show over and over again. To lead means to die. It means to terminate something, to end, to die, to step from this territory to the next territory. Is it not? That's what leadership is. It's leading that kind of change. But more and more, leaders are learning that it's not just a profit path. It's a path of self-realization. And that's why we created the VIP Coach, folks. We created a coaching program where entrepreneurs had the opportunity to shine in the fullness of their potential, in the full composition of their being. Not just doing, but actually being, and continuously practicing the finest quality of being at any moment. That takes a lot. There's a lot that goes into that state. There's a lot of awareness that goes into that state. There's practice. There's intentional silence. There's grounding for the leader to listen from this place. He has to be able to quiet his mind and not trust all of his thoughts. He has to gather a wide range of sources from the playing field in order to see the systems at play that he is an actor within. He has to have peripheral listening, folks, to be able to see the fullness of what's going on. But wait a second. There's just not enough time to step back and actually look and marinate and fiddle and consistently look. We have to get on with things. We have to get things done so much that we'd rather screw it up 20 more times instead of looking long enough to realize the root cause of the situation that we miss when we're always looking past it to go, go, go. That's right. Go, go, and go. So I ask you, what is in between you and being free? I know why you got into your business. You got into your business to be free. You didn't get into your business for money. That was the first part. See, that kind of swooned you into the honeymoon as you went, this is good. I can make some great wealth. Yes, you can. You can buy a great lifestyle. You can buy great wealth with your business. But I know at the end of the day, truth, it's about freedom. It's about getting freed up. Because you didn't want a boss. You didn't want to go to work for somebody. You wanted to chart your own path. You wanted to set your own terms. But you see, what happened was, despite your best intentions, the system wins. Because when you grew and your business got bigger and better and faster and stronger, there was a compromise that happened. There was an inadvertent consequence that took place. You got an invitation. You got a bunch of little invites that asked you to go do a bunch of things that you wandered off doing. The entrepreneur just checked out. You went and got good at managing. You went and got good at technician work. You went and got good at certain processes. Because you didn't want other people to do them. You were afraid. You were afraid that if they did them, if you gave them that kind of autonomy, if you didn't control them enough, oh my gosh, there was just too much on the line. So what did you do? You got excellent at so many things that they start taking 3 times the energy out of you than it actually delivers back to you. And you begin to wonder that big question, right? Question number 1, is this really what I want to do when I grow up? The reason you're asking it is discouragement. You're masking your lack of freedom. You're questioning whether you want to keep doing this because of this business. You've become prisoner of your own machine. Your ambition is in conflict with your values. You've been feeling this for some time. 2 years ago, you noticed it. You wanted to do something about it. Now, I'm not a psychic here, but I just work with hundreds of entrepreneurs. The story is always the same. They always go down the same path despite their personality, despite their gender, despite their intention. You give me 25 different factors, the system always wins. The fact is that when they grow, their lives become limited. And all the values and all the desires and all the fullness of who they are, a technicolor life, from the home side to their health to all these relationships that they have that really define their contentment and their sense of aliveness, it all goes to the wayside because this business starts becoming an innovation-killing time trap that just consumes you as an entrepreneur. And the sadness that brings me is that all the things that you give up because of it, you stop innovating, you stop having fun, you stop serving who you're meant to serve, you stop living your life on purpose, you stop being able to be free with your time, you stop getting money-making activity going with the key relationships that you have, you stop attending to all the activities that make you great and help you shine and give the best thing you've got to the world. You get out of touch with your unique abilities and personal gifts. Really step back and be a witness to the downside, to the serious consequences of getting caught up in a business like a vortex that sweeps you up, that has a fundamental bent, a DNA that wants to keep you busy. Busy! And the very vaccine that you try to get out, the stupid solution I call it, is trying to beat it by working more hours, trying to beat it by having more energy, trying to beat it by this and that, trying to beat it and so forth. And everything you're doing is like running uphill. It just doesn't work. The reason is that you don't have the perching, you don't have the position to see what this is doing from all sides. You're so caught up in it that you can't see the water that you're swimming in, how you're prisoner of your own machine, that you have helped inadvertently create your own caughtness. Now, have I got your attention? I hope I've pushed a couple of your buttons. Because if you feel what I'm saying, I'm going to give you a lifeline. So wait after the break. I'm going to throw you a lifeline, and I'm going to give you 5 key focusing strategies that you're going to put to use right now, right directly from our program. These are field tested. These are what we do right where the rubber meets the road. Every day on 5 calls with entrepreneurs, these 5 strategies are proven, they're solid, they work, and it will free you up, it'll increase your confidence, and it'll get your earning power up to a new level. I guarantee it. Okay, so hang out. I'll be right back.
Having a life where you have the creative freedom to do what you love and to offer the world something that only you can bring to the table. That is the world of high-level performance with John Davidson. That is the world of radical creativity. That is the world that you can be a part of when you realize all that is holding you back is you. Begin the journey through one-on-one coaching that gives you the finesse for business and lifetime achievement, and find your place on the roadmap to high-level performance today. Visit highlevelperformance.com. What matters to me? What is my true work? Monetize your passion and enjoy creative freedom with the VIP Coach. You're listening to Radical Creativity with Executive Performance Coach John Davidson.
Okay, are you ready? I'm ready. We're going to talk about ways to get you free. Because that's the game, folks. That's the game, is how do we get you freed up? How do we get you to this next level where you have a great business that consistently grows and you have a great life? That's the big question, is if you're going to do what you got to do when you grow up, it's about repositioning yourself in your business. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your personal gift. Every entrepreneur I've ever worked with, over 400 of them, each of them have a particular way in which they see the world, in which they see their work, in which they see themselves, in which they see the customer, in which they see their business process. To love means to see. So when you authenticate yourself, how you become different in the marketplace is not because of your strengths. It's not because you just have a superior skill and everybody says, oh, there's a maestro over there, he's a genius. No. Uncommon skill is directly related to and influenced by, here it is, drum roll, resonance. The guy that loves more of what he does and gets more energy from what he does will get better than any comparison guy, because it's about time and practice and consistency over time. What the love does is it's like an elongator. What it does is it produces a tenacity and a perseverance over time where someone makes a relentless commitment. That's right, based on the generative love that they have. So if you aren't that great at what you're doing, but you get tremendous energy from what you're doing because it makes a difference in the world, and it really highly matters to you, I'll call that your ID. That's right, just like your ID. You're identified with that. Your ID, your identification, is with what you love the most. Folks, here's the secret. If you took nothing else but this from this particular podcast, this is it right here. You've got to do what you love because you're doing what you're meant to do. This is your DNA talking to you. Why aren't you more fanatical about that? We tie in what we deserve to what we love, as if it's a privilege. Let me tell you, it is a complete and total, utter selfish act to withdraw what you love from the people that you serve. In addition, there is a certain type of person that will resonate most with what you love. You know it. You could ask them. They see something in you that no one else does. They relate with you because of this uncommon skill that comes easy to you. That's why it's off your radar, is you think everybody does it. And you take it for granted. So here's the turnaround, and it starts with you. You've got to get your conviction straight, and that is you recommit yourself. You make a conscious decision to pursue relentlessly what it is that you love, and do it for who you're meant to serve, the people that you love and respect and admire, the client qualities that just get you totally soaring, that get you energized. It means discrimination. Not discrimination in a negative way like you're thinking. It's discriminating that you are not for everyone. You have a certain type of individual in your audience that you are meant to serve, that your business and all of your mission and values and vision combined, your core ideology, everything that you have built is meant to serve. It puts you in a certain gear. If you want to produce great work, the kind of work that's remarkable, the kind of work that other people have to tell their friends about, so that you propagate and pollinate your business, you have to trust this area, is to commit to what you are meant to do. And that is, whatever gives you energy, its resonance, you need to do that and take everything else away. And if you want to prompt your support team, it means doing the same for them. And that's the second item, is your job then becomes one of putting people into what they're meant to do and who they're meant to serve. Clients, your internal staff, people you associate with, spheres of influence, complementary advisors, people that you do business with on any level, even in your personal life. Do you want to become someone who's valuable and special? Is that the hunt that you're on? Are you trying to find out how significant you are through the behavior of the world around you and others, or are you into creating value? There's really two kinds of entrepreneurs. There's the I'm going to be valuable entrepreneur, and there's I'm going to create some valuable, or I'm going to create some value for others. What you begin to notice is that those that focus more altruistically in that part of them, in their soul, in their spirit, where that spirit has before them that sacred project that's looking to get expressed, when they tap that area, when they open that door that's always been there, when they open that secret code that's always been trying to get solved, when they start to trust that, when they begin to go down that path, it's always the case that things begin to aid them. Just the right relationships seem to come about at the right time. Just the right conditions seem to favor them as if they invited them. Why do all these synchronicities turn on? Why do all these coincidences begin to happen? You don't need to know. Just know that it works. It's like turning on a light switch. Turn it on. I don't need to know how it works. I just know it does work. It's ineffable. This is what happens when you trust your gifts with your life. I know because I've done this for the last 13, 14 years. All I've done is trust my gifts with my life. I've put my hands into my gifts. And what that's done for me is a sense of conviction and a generative love, a connection, a domain of self-efficacy from which I'm completely paying attention and I'm highly alert, and everything becomes a function of learning and constantly tailing back to that. Not that you're so self-absorbed in you becoming this superior being and you having this better quality than everybody. Nobody's better than anybody, but you do have faculties and traits that tend to be more successful or they put you in a position of being more successful to create what matters to you because it resonates with you. This is the part of the love equation, as I call it, doing what you love and loving what you do. This is loving what you do. This is the energy that you draw from these activities. So sit down right now and identify 3 activities that you do now that bring you this. If you don't know those, then start identifying activities that do. And if you can't find these activities in your business, I got news for you. You're not going to last very long, and you're in trouble. I don't care how good you're going to be or how much money you're going to make. Your soul is not going to be filled. You're not getting to your real work. And when it's all said and done and everything pretty much is going to be gone because we all inevitably die, we all have that commonality, you're not going to be taking all these things with you that you think justifies your current position. You're not. So let's wise up. Start listening from a different source of attention, a much wiser listening, to cooperate with who you really are, to cooperate with that big part of yourself, your highest future possibility from which you organize action. You must do this. The world needs you to do this. Don't deny the world your gifts. And number 2, find people around you. Start listening and learning and seeing and watching as a watchtower their gifts, the things that energize them. And do your best with getting your needs met to make a trade so that whatever it is they're doing, you're putting them into this area of superior skill and energy, and they're putting you into an area of superior skill and energy. What incredible teamwork to have that kind of mutuality, mutual draw from what we're doing. Imagine the kind of things that could get done in a world networked like that, where one was looking out to position the other, and the other was looking out to position the other. Could you imagine with that kind of generosity, what kind of amazement, what kind of remarkable things could be created? What kind of innovation could be done? Could you imagine what kind of joy could be given to the players? What kind of rewards could be given to the receivers of such a process, of whatever is created co-creatively out of this process, out of this arrangement? Just imagine what could get done. So, that's number 1 and number 2, is your unique ability and getting to your personal gifts and committing to it with all your convictions. And number 2 is putting people in touch with theirs and being a supply line wherever you can. Now, this may require you to ask a few more questions of people about what they find is most valuable about them or what the world says is most valuable, but your job is to help them light the flame. You got to light your own and self-appoint. That research process starts today, asking other people what they value most about you. Now, question number 3, or strategy number 3. You have available to you a fundamental choice. Now, this gets down to the very essence of who you are, what you are, and the way that you approach your life. Fundamental means underlying structure or essence. So it is the base. And what we often fail to see is that we are in basically 2 different orientations in our life. And most of the time, 98% of us are in one type of orientation. We don't even know about the other. It's just been so ingrained in us habitually, automatically, that we don't know how to even look at things from this other orientation. The first one's called the reaction-response orientation. And this means that we pretty much automatically are geared to respond and react to whatever it is that's imposed on us. And this would suggest, in the underlying beliefs, it would suggest that we see ourselves and the world, we see ourselves in relationship to the world as a powerless being, as if the circumstances had the power. And so based on the circumstances having the power, we go to work on having better responses. We try to change our experience. We try to suffer less. We try to manage ourselves. We try to cope. We go to our experience because the inevitable is I can't push around the circumstances. And so we can make conclusively this thing that we make up, that we are powerless. We have no power to create what we want. But there's another orientation that I see a lot of individuals now getting into, and that is the creative orientation, and that is that they fundamentally choose to become a predominant creative force in their life. That doesn't suggest that they control their circumstances. That suggests that they organize their actions around what they desire, not what is imposed on them. So rather than take their cues from the moment or the situations they're in or the problems they want to eliminate, they take action upon things that they really care about. They take action upon outcomes that they really truly want to see manifested. They want to create them. And they organize their attention around that. And then when they come to the reality that's here, they look at the circumstances. The circumstances are looked upon with different eyes. Suddenly the comparison from what it should be to what it is compared to really what it is now to what you want to create. Because that's a fairy tale. The creating is not what it should be. It's what you want it to be. It's what you desire it to be. Big difference in the comparisons here. Comparing between what you have and what you want versus what you have and what it should be. That should be is based on the past. It's supposed to go down in a how format. It's supposed to come together how. You're expecting it to be how because your rational mind is saying this is how it's supposed to work. The minute it's a how, the minute you know you're drawing from downloading, whatever your mental map is about the way the world should work, you're imposing that on reality. And what that does is make you a lousy creator. Because as a result, a whole movement is started called the Human Potential Movement, which is basically taking your money to be able to see how you have made life really the wrong place to be, your thinking is up against you, and that your thoughts, your unconscious mind is out to get you, and if you could overwhelm or overcome it, or if you could somehow get control of it, everything would be better. Come on, guys, that's cheap, that's easy, it sells workshops. I think we can outsmart that. That's not what being creative is about. That doesn't help you create. That basically says self-absorb, improve yourself, for what? Most of the time, self-improvement isn't driven by or motivated properly. It's not driven by good urges. It's driven by the seeking to fix oneself or to get rid of one's quirks, not really to create something that matters. What creators know is that they focus on subject matter, not themselves. They're not so obsessed about how they feel or trying to fix their issues or trying to get out of old patterns or interrupt the way they do stuff. They're not so caught up and absorbed. They're really focused more on the creations they create. Their focus is outward. They develop a third-person orientation, not a first. They're not in the me, I, we. They're in the, them, and you. The way they listen is from the world. They realize that the world is in them and they are in the world, but they also empathically listen. So as a result of being a creator, they're much more empathetic and compassionate typically as an outbirth of why they create in the first place. Martin Luther King was a great example of this. Despite his oppressors, despite everything against him, he was able to stay in a third-person orientation with a distant understanding of his oppressors without being affected or afflicted or letting it merge with his identity. None of it was made into what he thought he was. None of it connected to his fear or shame of who he thought he was. It was just what it was. It was defining the exact conditions as they are, staying with the news without editorial, looking at what's actually going on. So what you can do is choose to become a predominant creative force in your life. And I suggest that you do that today so that you're not stuck in reacting and responding, because when you're in that orientation, you definitely help life become an imposed force on you. And then you react and respond accordingly. If you don't think you have enough time, you probably won't have any. Hence, it's the concepts that we hold of the world that we find ourselves stuck in. And when we suspend them, and we realize the realities that exist outside of our imposed downloads on what we intend or habitually see, when we suspend our judgment, a whole new world starts to open up. Number 4, hire smart, don't manage tough. If you want to make or break your career, get better at hiring. Hiring is the one thing that you cannot delegate. It's also the one thing that no entrepreneurs prepare for thoroughly. It's the one thing that I always look to see their most common mistakes. And that is, they don't take the time, they get into a reactive hiring spin in their business rather than being proactive. The time to hire is not when a position has become cleared. That is not the time to hire, because then you lower your standards and suddenly you get a sense of urgency. You lower your standards. You don't predict future performance well. So we have a very, very robust hiring system at the VIP Coach that works with these entrepreneurs and implementing it in their organization so that they get the right kind of team around them and they can actually get access to the things that they're really best at doing. If you don't have a strong team around you, if you haven't hired correctly, well, then you're headed down the wrong road. You're headed down a road of a lot of misfires from that. You're headed to a lot of management heaviness. you're headed to a whole bunch of non-enjoyment activities in your business. I know you don't like firing employees. Nobody does. Although it can be a good experience to fire fast because some people get through the red velvet rope, you're not the good bouncer in your business and you do need to fire them. Granted, there will be some. However, it's not fun to be managing a group of slumps that were hired wrong because they didn't have the strengths for the job, nor have the convictions or the intrinsic desire or the right stuff to get the job done. So, put your emphasis into your hiring. Number 5. Restructure your time. Fundamentally, entrepreneurs are pretty much successful based on how they structure their time. And I find that entrepreneurs structure their time in 2 different ways. One way is they organize their time around results. The other way is they organize their time around time and effort. They kind of think the old way. They think the 40-hour week. They think like an employee in an environment where they make money actually convincing people to buy. They make money as a salesperson, but they want to be paid as an employee. And therein lies the conflict. 40 hours a week is not good because it doesn't organize the energy in such a way where the entrepreneur has climactic and non-climactic moments. You're going to go into 50 situations this year and you're going to come out either on the side to get a check or you're not going to get a check. The beauty of being in this school of transactions, in this economy of results, is that you learn whether you get a check or not. If you don't get one, you learn, and if you do get one, you learn. 50% of the time it works, 50% of the time it doesn't, but you treat those 2 sources equal in value, so you have no fear, but you're willing to learn. So one of the things we do immediately with the entrepreneurs and the VIP coach is we separate all their time out according to 3 different days. Rather than have a linear time frame where they're every day being the same, they basically have 3 different zones. They have game day or prime time. They have maintenance time to get ready and prepare and clean things up, stay organized and delegate, make sure their systems are working properly so when they're ready to have money-making activities, they can leave everything else alone. It runs by itself. And they also have free days. They have something in their life where they are rejuvenating. They're actually becoming young again. And the cyclical relationship between these 3 different zones produces an energy that is unstoppable, a creative energy, not a reactive one, not a mechanical one, but a hunger and creativity for innovation and new ideas and great delegation and making sure everyone in the organization is fit and equipped with the right directions, the right steam, the right motivation, and so forth, the right leadership. Making sure that all the relationships in his life are attended to so he's not thinking about them when he's at work and vice versa. Making sure that he does all the right preparations in his business so it runs right, so it runs on time, on target, and hits all the marks. And what we find is when the entrepreneur begins to structure his time like this, he feels incredible confidence. He feels that wherever he's going to go, this time system begins to support it. So start organizing your time around the results. That's the economy of means that you're in, not time and effort. You don't get paid for time. Time is not money in an economy of results. Money buys time in an economy of results. You want to know how wealthy you are, just look at how much time off you could take without working. The more money you make, the more time you buy. Money in an economy of results is just time. So folks, we're going to wrap up the show here. You have 5 really strong strategies, and I hope this got your attention and got you excited. The VIP Coach, we're located in Huntington Beach, California. We do coaching throughout 3 different countries. We're blessed to use all the latest and greatest technologies from video conferencing to teleconferencing to match our clients at wherever they are doing business activities that are relevant and timely. Sometimes we prepare right before a sales call. Sometimes we make a critical coaching call right at the time before a team meeting. So it's very important you get that kind of flexibility from your coach. You bring the kind of commitment and consistency to the program. Take full responsibility for quarterbacking the focusing strategies and tactics that your VIP Coach program provides you. We also have 3 books online if you'd like to know more. You can look up myself as an author, John Davidson, on Amazon.com or Lulu.com. They're all self-published. Standing in the Presence of All That You Are, The Day I Built My Barbecue, and The Unstoppable You. We're online at www.highlevelperformance.com. That's www.highlevelperformance.com. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the show, and I appreciate you being a raving fan of radical creativity. I'd appreciate an opportunity to speak with you at some point if you decide that you need some help in your business, you're comfortable with your own ignorance, and you decide that you just don't have all the answers, and you're ready to make a collaboration toward a future that's bigger than your past. Until then, until next time, Have a productive day.
For more tools on how to liberate your gifts, become more valuable, and on purpose through radical creativity with executive performance coach John Davidson, visit highlevelperformance.com and be sure to follow John on Facebook. Check back soon to continue the journey toward radical creativity.